Hello there, this is Miss Geek. As by popular request, this is a video all about drawing, storyboards and exams. And without further ado, let's roll the start up. Okay then, so welcome to this video. Now, one of the questions that you might get asked in your exam is to draw out a storyboard. Now, as you can see from my example picture here, storyboards are used in media production all of the time. And I'm going to link to this video here below. Batman, The Dark Knight is a really good way of showing how the storyboard turns into the real film. So it's a really important skill to know and what needs to go in those storyboards as well. So I've got 3 questions to go through with you today. They're all different types. One's based on a script, one is based on a multimedia like a theme park ride, and the last one is based on an app making a video for it. So just give you an idea of what you might be asked to do. So let's go on to question 1. Okay, so this is question 1. Now, the scenario for this one is Zeta Level. Let me get my highlighter out here. So, Zeta Level, these people here, are launching a new construction toy based on building blocks. The product is to be on sale in the lead up to the festive season. You've been asked to create pre-production documents. Okay, so they have given us a script here. This is a script, tells us all the things such as the locations. Now, it might be worth in the exam highlighting any key things here. So, we know it's going to be in a house. We know there's a lounge with a door. We know there's a young boy on there. We know there's going to be some music coming from somewhere. And then we've got obviously the details of the script. We know the kids playing with a cuddly toy and the bricks. We know that there is going to be a parent in here. So all of the sort of like instructions are in here. So parent smiles, moving towards a child. And then obviously you've got noises in here. So snoring noises. So it's picking out all the key parts here. Now what we've been asked to do based on this is, using the script, construct a storyboard that can be given to the production team. So this is going to be for the production team. We've not been told a duration. Now sometimes they'll say to you, create a 30-second storyboard or something like that. So the only requirement we have here is that it's got to be a 6-shot storyboard, because that's the spaces they give you on there. So you can break that down however you like using the script. So I'm not going to do this in front of you, but I have, in the style of Blue Peter, created one earlier. So let me just make this a bit smaller. Let's zoom in. There we go. So I'm going to make this a bit smaller, and as you can see here, I've created my storyboard, and I'm just going to show you so you can see where I've taken my inspiration from. So I'm going to bring this to the front. Here we go. So first thing I have done, and I'm going to highlight these in a different colour so you can see where I've got my points from. Now this has got a 3-band sort of marking system here. So you've got a level 1 marking band, a level 2 marking band, and a level 3 marking band. And obviously depending on the details you put in there, it depends on what mark band you get. So first thing to note, as you can tell here, is you do not need to be a good artist for this one. Some people panic with storyboards thinking they need to be able to draw really well. You don't. There are no marks for your drawings or artistic skills in here. So don't spend ages making beautiful drawings, because they won't get you the marks. It's all about the content in this sense. In fact, what you get marked on here is how fit it is for the scenario. So how much closely does it link to the scenario? The supporting and technical information, and I'm going to go through that a little bit more in a minute. And obviously the layout, etc. So first thing I've done here is I've put a title. So I've put the name of the campaign on there. It's always good to label your scenes. That will help the production crew, because then obviously they'll know what they're going to be filming. The next thing I recommend, and in fact this is the very first thing I tell all of my lot to do, is number each of the shots. It's a really easy way to get a mark off of the front. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. This is a really simple reason we do this, so that the production crew know which order to film in. But it's a really easy way, because you don't need any knowledge of anything, you just need to label them. The other thing that you'll see I've done is along the top here, I've added a duration. Again, you don't, sometimes they might tell you this into the actual script, but sometimes they won't. If they haven't, then you can just make it up. So I've just made this up to be roughly 5, 10, what have we got here, 15, just over 20 seconds long. So adding a duration is known as a technical, so you're adding a duration on there. And then I've got some basic pictures here that sort of outline what happens in this script. So I've got my child with the blocks, and now you notice here I've got a location. The location counts as a technical thing. I've put in a location, so I've got the interior of the house. So that will get me 1 mark. And then we have got, actually I'm going to undo that. So let's start looking at some of the other technical bits in here. So you'll see now I've broken down these 6 shots into what happens in the story. So the first thing you'll see that I've got here is I have got the location, the interior of the house. Now this will count as a mark in here. Then I have got camera shots. So you get marks for camera shots, camera angles and camera movements. So I've got an establishing shot and the camera is going to zoom into the child. So these are my camera movements. So these are really important to include. Now if it tells you in whatever you're given the camera movements, that's great. Otherwise you do get marks for making it up, so you can infer it, so you can guess what you think the camera might do. So in my one I've got an establishing shot of the room and then it's going to zoom in onto the child, because that's what I think might happen if it was in real life. So here I've got here my camera angles. Then another technical thing I've got in here is SFX or sound effects. So it says on here that music is coming from another part of the house. So again, I've got sound effects, music coming from other room. I could also say the sound of the child playing with blocks or something like that. So there is how I've met the criteria, and this would be a high level mark because I've put 3 or more technical requirements. Now 3 or more is what you need to get those higher mark bands, and you need to use them consistently as well. So you can't just use it once and then just do nothing for the other shots. You need to make sure you use it consistently, and I've carried this on as we go through. So again, I've got the location here, so I'm in the lounge. I've now got a mid shot of the young child, and I've got some dialogue here. Alfie, look at your new home, which is taken from here. So this matches from here over to here. So I've taken it from the script, and this is how I'm making sure it's fit for purpose, because it matches. I've not just made up my own script. Okay, then we have got again, I've said that the camera is going to pan to the right to show the table with the blocks. Young child looks up and points at bricks on table, and I've got my dialogue again, and I've put some arrows here to signify the camera movement. Let me just click on this again. This is a real pickle, this app sometimes. There we go. So I've got the camera movement on here as well, but I've got camera pan right to table with blocks. Dialogue, young child looks at Alfie's new home is a dialogue there. So then again, I've got my duration on here as per last time. I've got on this one, the camera is going to zoom out again. So now I've got a shot with the mum, or sorry, the parent, the table and the child back in the room. So I've got camera, zoom out, dialogue, parent, that's a brilliant house. Young child, it's not a house, it's a castle. So again, taken from this shot. It does also say Alfie is the king there, but it's cut off at the bottom. And then I'm moving down to this last bit here. Parent smiling moves towards the child. So I've got my parent smiling here. Camera, zoom in, again, mid shot. Parent, oh yes, I can see that now. Young child, Alfie, time for bed now. And then my last one here is at the camera, close-up shot. The camera's going to zoom in onto Alfie in his castle. And then my sound effects here is the snoring noise coming from the child. Now you notice I've not put sound effects in everyone. And that's because obviously there's dialogue going on. So where there isn't any dialogue, I've not put sound effects. So the dialogue will count as a sound in here. So that is one question done. And that is the scenario of having a script given to you and you've got to convert that script into a storyboard. So let's have a look at number 2. Okay, so here is number 2. Let me zoom in a little bit on it. So we have got, I'll try and zoom in a little bit. So you've got in this one, Progressive Park is a theme park which has a new ride opening next summer. The new roller coaster ride will allow wearers to ride using virtual reality goggles and speed through different parts of the UK. Now I'm not going to go through this in too much detail. I'm just going to swing down here a little bit and get my highlighter ready. So here's my highlighter again. So I've got to create a 30-second storyboard. So they tell me the duration here, and this is going to be one of the things they check. For the 4th multimedia virtual reality section. So I've got to do modern times. So I don't want to put anything from the war or Victorian times or the 70s. And it's going to appear in the virtual reality goggles that the wearer will ride. So they tell me here what my marks are going to be awarded for. Let me just zoom up, move up a bit. There we go. So I'm going to get marks here for the content, the layout, the fitness for the purpose, and the scene information. That's your technical parts there. So 10 marks for this one. And again, it works in the same way. You've got 3 bands of marks. To get in the higher bands, you need to have 3 or more technical requirements. And just like last time, I have created a version and scanned it in for you. So let me zoom this down put it over here, and then I'm going to click on this one and bring it to the front so you can see it a bit better. Here we go. So again, let me get my highlighter out and show you what I've done and how I think is work. Now this one's a tricky one in the fact that you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit, because they don't tell you what's going to be included in the modern times. All they do tell you is that it's going to include video and a soundtrack, music, noises, etc., and a narration. Okay, so they're the only things you do know. Otherwise you've got to make it up yourself. So I kind of had a little think about what modern times was. So I was like, do I go from the 80s, because obviously it stops at 70s, but I've decided to go from 2000 onwards. Now you could do whatever you like. I've also focused mine on London, but it does say it's UK based, so you know, again, that's up to you. So let's have a look at what I've done. I'm going to change my highlighter here. So the first thing I've done is I've got my label again. I've put modern times section for progressive pop. So I've labelled my scene, giving you some scene information. Then, just as I did in the last one, I have got my 6 shots numbered here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and again I've given them durations. This time it must add up to 30 seconds. It's told you it needs to be 30 seconds, so I've got 5, 5, 3, 5, 2 and 10. Okay, so that adds up to 30 on there. And you'll see here again I have got my shots labelled, so my location on here. I'm going to move to my black pen here so I can now highlight where I put my technical information. So I have got a zoom in on the aerial of view. So I've got an aerial overhead shot towards London. So it's basically, you imagine like when you zoom in from like the planet from above and zoom in. That's what I've got. So I've added sound effects here of a whoosh sound. There's going to be a voiceover. They've told me there's a narration, and they've told me there's going to be some music on there. So I don't know what that's going to be. I haven't got to say, like, for example, what the track's going to be, but I've mentioned that that sound effect's going to be there. So I'm going to zoom in on an aerial of the UK towards London with a whoosh sound. 5 seconds duration there. Let me zoom there. Okay, so again I've got 5 seconds, and this time I've got my location, exterior of the Millennium Dome. Now you guys are probably far too young to remember the Millennium Dome, but it was there for a year in the year 2000 to celebrate the year 2000 in London. So I'm going to pan and zoom into the entrance of the Millennium Dome. So I've got these arrows here to signify the direction of camera movement. My sound effects here is going to be the fireworks and the sound of a countdown. So when people do the 5, 4, 3, so it's going to be there. So I've got my camera here as part of my technical requirements, and my sound effects of the fireworks counting down. Great, so shot 3. This one's going to be 3 seconds, got my duration. Again, I'm now inside the Millennium Dome. I've got an aerial shot of inside the dome, so this is above looking down into the Millennium Dome. The camera's going to fly through the exhibit. I've got an arrow here to show you. So I've got a technical requirement here, technical requirement here. My sound effects is the music, the voiceover and people chatter, because it's going to be like flying through the people inside the Millennium Dome. So that's there as well. Then moving on to number 4, I'm now on the exterior of the Millennium Bridge. Now the Millennium Bridge was a bridge built in London for the Millennium as well. Great fun fact was that it wobbled when they first made it. So again, I've got my arrow here to signify the movement. I've got the camera is going to fly through the bridge. So there's my technical requirement there. Sound effects, music and narrator. Okay, we're getting there. You're getting the hint of how this works now. Again, number 5, I've got exterior of Millennium Bridge. I have got a duration of 2 seconds. I've got my arrows to signify the movement here. The camera is going to be an aerial wide shot, and it is going to pan and fly along the length of the bridge. So it's going to go this way through the bridge, so it's from the top. Again, sound effects, music and the narrator. Pop that on there. Now my very last one here, 10 seconds duration. Again, I'm now on the exterior of the Shah building, which was a building built recently in London, quite tall, gives you some lovely views of London. Camera is going to track the Shard and fly up to the top. Again, I've got my location arrow on here to signify the movement of that camera, and then the camera is going to pan to show a view of London, so it's just going to pan around, and then I've got my sound effects of the music and narrator. Now again, this one's a tricky one in the fact that it's leaving it quite open to you, and I guess if you haven't got much knowledge of modern London, you might struggle a little bit on this one. So my suggestion to you is just kind of take a minute to think, scribble something on the side of the paper or underneath about what you kind of need to be. The key word here is just making sure it's modern in this one, but always check the keywords when you've got one of these exam questions. The technical requirements, as you can see, are exactly the same as the last one. I've just applied them to a different scenario. So that's number 2 dealt with. Let's move on to the third and final one. Okay, so number 3, let's have a look at this one. I've got a little cut here. Let me put this aside. So in this example here, Progress Walk is a smartphone app which is going to encourage adults to exercise by walking around the local town. They get points from taking photos of themselves standing outside buildings, and then different buildings will give them different points which they can exchange for food and drink in local shops. So they want us to create, let's go into highlighter mode again. They want us to create a storyboard for the opening 30 seconds of a video that will launch when they explains how to use the app and what they need to do on their phone to play. So it's a bit wobbly. Again, marks for content, layout, fitness, and scene information. You're getting used to this now, I'm sure you are. 10 marks again, 3 bands. You need 3 or more technical information throughout your storyboard to get those higher marks. So again, let me show you what I've done. I've done one and I've moved it across. So I'm going to shrink this down a little bit, and then I'm going to move over to this one. Let me move this to the top as well because it's there. And then if I move this one, this one to the front as well. Okay, there we go. So again, what I've done, let me show you with the highlighter. I have got a title for my thing. So I've got Progress Walk Explainer. So that tells you, if someone picks this up, they know exactly what this storyboard is for. I've gone down the usual route again of adding my shot numbers. I don't know why I've gone out of my highlighter mode there. There we go. So I have got my shot numbers. I just, before you even start getting bogged down with all the details, just go through those 6 boxes and just put a number in them, because it's a really easy way to get a mark on here. So number your shots. Okay, next thing I've done, I've put the duration on again. So let me pop my pen back in. Voila, don't know why I have to tell me that every time. So 3 seconds. Oh god, it's yellow, don't want it yellow. Exterior, London, Big Ben. I've got my arrow on here to indicate the camera movement. My camera, wide shot. My camera is going to pan across this way. So I've got the arrows on here to show Big Ben. My sound effects here is like traffic noise. So it's going to be like a live shot of people walking along London. So it's going to be quite noisy. Okay, then I've got shot 2, 7 seconds. Now again, exterior shot of London. So an alternative way, so you'll notice in the first one where I wrote the dialogue or the script into the actual scene description here, but you can write it almost like a comic book on here as well. So in this one I thought I'd show you how you can do it in this way. So again, my camera is going to zoom into the walkers, so it's going to zoom in. The camera is a full shot, so it's a full length one, and the dialogue I've put here is the speech. So they are going to say, "So glad you joined Progress Walk. Now you can earn while you walk." Again, I'm making this up because they're not giving me a script, I'm just inferring it from the document. My sound effects is that traffic again, obviously other than the dialogue as well. And now we're going to a completely different shot here, so it's to try and demonstrate that you can have it in different scenarios. You have to be in London. Again, I've got my duration here, 5 seconds. Exterior, this time woods, nice tree. So the camera has got a wide shot. The dialogue now is a voiceover, so I've got a voiceover this time. Take photos on your journey and upload them to the app. My sound effects here is music and these lovely people having a giggle whilst they're taking a photo of a tree. Again, I've made this up, so you can do what you like for this. Okay, shot number 4. Again, I've got my duration here, 5 seconds. As long as it totals 30, as mine says, or if you aren't given a time frame, then whatever you like, just make it reasonable. Again, interior house this time. And now I have got a camera overhead tilting down on them, so I've got the arrows here to indicate that. The camera is going to zoom into the phone. Yes, this is a phone. You could label this if you want to and say what it is. Dialogue, track your progress through the app. And I've got some sound effects here of some music, so just some like funky music going on. Then again, I've got my duration here. I have got my exterior of the shop here. Ooh. And then I have got a camera, wide shot again. The camera is going to track and follow these two into the shop. So I've got my arrow here to demonstrate that happening here. Dialogue, voiceover, change points for food. And sorry, it's just cut off at the bottom here, but it says sound effects, the shop noise, and the narrator talking, obviously the voiceover here. And then my last shot, again, 5 seconds. I'm on the exterior of the shop this time. And then what have you got to lose? Start tracking now. So again, the dialogue here is in the speech bubble. Camera is in close up. It's not moving. dialogue is a speech, and then my sound effects, other than the speech, is some upbeat music to kind of tell people what to do. So there's 3 different examples of how this question might be presented to you, but as you can see throughout each one, the technical information and the actual storyboards themselves are exactly the same. And the quick wins on this one, the ones I would recommend you do straight away, is just make sure you label those shot numbers, put a duration, put a location. So there are really easy ways to get some marks in this one. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you. Like always, if there's anything else I can do to help support you with your exam, please let me know. Good luck, and I will see you soon for another video.